Good morning this morning. Now, to help with the understanding of programming, a lot of people need to go back to the basics and understand some terms. You understand? So, in order not to waste time, let's just start with the first one, languages. When we say languages, what are programming languages? Programming languages are the languages used to communicate with the computers and write software. What it means is all those files. First of all, we have a text editor, which I've explained in one of my other videos. We have a text editor, right? And in that text editor, you can create, let's say, for example, Notepad or Visual Studio Code, right? Now, for that, on those text editors, you can now create a file for a program like HTML. You understand? So on that HTML, you write your codes. So that file you have created for writing codes is what they call a program. HTML is a program, or is a programming language. CSS is a programming language. C++ is a programming language on which you can write codes. JavaScript is used to make websites interactive. You understand? Each of them are so. Programming languages are the languages used to communicate with the computers and write softwares. Is in the environment of those programming languages that you write those codes. That's the meaning of what I'm saying. Those are languages. So when you hear languages, we're not talking of Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa. We are just saying that those environments in which you write codes. You understand? When you create the file, the environment you see where you write the code, and each environment has its own unique code or unique syntax structure, or should I say it has its own unique way where you unique code structure. The ways you write the codes in each of these programming language environments are unique. The way you write on HTML is different from the way you write for CSS, though they are linked. The way you write for C++ is different from the way you write for Python. Like on Python now, you can use Sprint. Some of them have their similarities though. You understand? So programming languages are the languages used to communicate with the computers and write software or write codes. It's the same thing as what I'm saying. When you open them, you write codes in them, and each of them have their own unique way which you write their codes. Python is an example, JavaScript is an example, C++ is an example. Python is used for web development, data science, and automation. JavaScript is used to make websites interactive, like buttons, animations, and all that. C++ is used for building games, and high performance applications. So if you want to write games, you use C++. They have their own unique uses too. As you can see, HTML, CSS combined, used for creating and designing websites, which that's my own major. I major in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript combined. You understand? I also do some of Python. You understand? So let's move to the next. Tools are softwares that help programmers write, test, and manage code. So tools are softwares that helps. They are platform on which you can write those codes. Visual Studio Code is an example, is a tool. You understand? A popular text editor for writing code. So a text editor can also be a tool. Like Visual Studio Code is a tool on which you write code. Is a text editor where you can create your HTML file and some other files to write codes. Git, a version control tool to track code changes. Yes, Git, a version control tool to track code changes. Docker, a tool for creating isolated environments for applications. Understand? Then Postman, a tool for testing APIs. We're still going to explain on API. Tools are software that help a programmer to write, take notes, to write, test, and manage a code. You understand? So the thing about all these technologies is that they are kind of intertwined. Languages are just used to write code. You can also use language for maintenance, managing, go back to the languages and check if there are errors. You need to do debugging and all that. Tools also used to do what? To write, manage, they are softwares used to write, test, and manage code. You understand? So they are kind of similar to text editors. Generally, there are platforms where you can write, but the uniqueness, each of them now have their own uniqueness too. So Visual Studio Code is used as a text editor for writing code, just regularly writing code. Git is not only for writing but also to track the codes, to control the codes. Understand? Then Docker is a tool for creating isolated environments for applications. Then Postman, a tool for testing APIs. So tools are softwares that help a programmer to write, to test, and to manage a code. So those are examples. We have Visual Studio Code, Git, Docker, and Postman. Git. Now, to clarify Git means Global Information Tracker. You understand? It helps. You can dig. Git means Global Information Tracker. You can dig more on Git. It helps different programmers to collaborate efficiently and to manage different versions of a code. Are you understanding? So can you see a version control tool to track code changes? So it helps. It is a situation where different programmers are collaborating as in to manage different versions of a code or changes in code. So that's why it's called Global Information Tracker, GIT. You see this Docker helps to deliver software in packages called containers. You understand? So each software will be in an isolated package called a container. So take note of that. Then Postman is a tool for testing APIs. We are going to discuss more on API as we move. So at least you have understanding of languages, tools. Compiler. A compiler is a program that translates code writing in a programming language into machine language that the computer can understand. That is very clear enough. Compiler will translate it, whatever you have written, that translates the code in a language that the computer can understand. It's just like it serves as what? More or less an interpreter. It will translate it to the language that the computer can understand. That's the what is it? So it's a translator. A compiler is a translator. Okay, example, we have GCC, GNU Compiler Collection, for compiling C and C++ code. So that means that C++ compiler is GCC or GNU Compiler Collection. That is the translator for that particular environment that will interpret or translate whatever you have programmed so that the computer can understand and bring out output information. Javac, the Java compiler is Javac. So that Javac, actually the full meaning is Java code. So it turns Java code into bytecode. You understand? Because before the computer can understand whatever you have programmed, it will first convert it into bytecode that the computer can understand. So for GCC, it helps whatever you program on C, programming on C++ code, GCC will convert it to bytecode. Whatever you program on Javac will convert it to bytecode so that the computer can understand. Whatever, so all of them have their compilers. MCVC, Microsoft Visual C++, a compiler for Windows applications. So it also helps in interpreting all these Microsoft Visual C++, MSVC, Microsoft Visual C++, a compiler. Is a compiler. It helps Windows applications general to convert whatever you have typed into bytecode so that the computer can reinterpret, can understand, and give you the expected result, the output information that you want. So compilers are translators. They translate code. Compiler is a translator. So tools, let me repeat tools again. They help a programmer to write, to test, to manage code. So you can write all these GIT, Global Information Tracker, Docker, Postman, Visual pseudocode, you can also write codes on them, just like these languages. You can write code, you test code, and you can manage code. What makes GIT unique is that you can track code and you can use it to collaborate. That GIT global information tracker, it can also help multiple developers to collaborate and check different versions of code, changes in the code time after time. So compiler is a translator. A framework is pre-built structure for building software, providing ready-made codes, tools, and best practices. So all this React, like React, Django, Spring Boot, Laravel, for building interactive user interfaces. See, all these frameworks are things that will guide you as a programmer. I understand this. React works with JavaScript, Django works with Python, Spring Boot works with Java, Laravel works with PHP for developing web. They are already made. If you have React on your system, or Django on your system, or Spring Boot, they have templates that will guide you on how to write code for websites, so you can get ideas from that framework. So this is how a lot of professionals carry out the best of their website design. Many people do not know they use frameworks. So if you want to be a very successful programmer, you need framework. I'm not saying you cannot sit down and carry out your plan, draw out or get ideas online, check some templates, ready-made templates online. But you see these ones, when you have React, Django, Spring Boot, Laravel, and some other frameworks, example of other frameworks, what you do is you learn from the structured programming, how they programmed it. They've structured all those samples. Those React, Django, they have samples, ready-made programming, samples already, the programming and the results already on them. Are you understanding? You can use it providing ready-made code and tools and best practices. You understand? So from there you can check, okay, if I want to do this kind of design, okay, this is how I will program it. Then you can get enough ideas easily. Then from there you can now build your own unique ideas. So you need a framework. So our advice, if you're a programmer, maximize the understanding of React, Django, Spring Boot, and Laravel, and other frameworks too. You understand? So when you maximize that, that's what makes professionals to be professionals. That's why you see some people build some websites, you'll be like, wow. Some people will build some websites, you'll be like, what is this? You understand? Because a lot of website builders will not tell you about framework. So you need to, this particular thing they call framework, go and master, study, do research on it. If you want to be a successful website designer, it's going to guide you on how to build professional websites. You understand? Now we have server. A server is a very powerful computer that provides services or data to other computers over a network. Take for example, MTN, they have their own supercomputers that provide services, and those supercomputers, they are mostly on heat because of the amount of services they provide. So they are also linked. The server, they have, in fact, if you enter a server room, you will see enough strong AC because of the heat they get from the services they supply. Then that server is now linked to networks through, what do they call it, masts. So the actual connection between MTN and you is that from their server to the mast and to you. Are you understanding? So that's where it flows. You understand? And that's why if you enter the server room of any organization that's providing services, where intra means it's just within the organization. Inter means it's outside the organization, like MTN runs inter, not intra. You understand? And there's some organizations that they provide service just within the organization. So that's the way it flows. You understand? So we have web server, database server, mail server. So in the case of database server, there will be a central computer that stores the information. Then that computer is now linked to other computers in the organization that can get or retrieve the information. Mail server, Gmail server provides it provides Gmail services for people generally worldwide. You understand? Game server, like this Call of Duty, provides game services where different people can play at the same time. Understand? All the owners of these platforms have their own server room. You understand? From which they generate all these services. You get what I'm saying? They have their server room from which they generate these services. Web server for hosting websites, database server for managing different data and all that. Interpreter. The difference between interpreter and compiler is this. A compiler is a translator that will compile the whole code that you have written, convert it to bytecode that the computer can understand. The computer now reads the bytecode in the language it understands, performs the instruction and brings out output results. But interpreter reads and executes code line by line without needing to compile first. It doesn't compile it all together. It will interpret it line by line. It will execute the code line by line. That's what interpreters does. So all these programming languages, they have interpreters, they have compilers. Okay, like now we have Python interpreter, we have Node.js, which is JavaScript. Node.js is anything.js is JavaScript. Anything.js is JavaScript. That's the extension. That JS is JavaScript. So JavaScript works along with HTML, CSS for the interactivity of a website. Then Ruby interpreter. Ruby is also a software. PHP for running Ruby scripts. PHP interpreter executes PHP codes for web applications. Understand? So that's how interpreter executes codes line by line. Debugger. Anything debugger is for fixing errors, correcting mistakes. We have Chrome development tools, dev tools for debugging JavaScript. PBD, Python debugger, GNU debugger, Xcode debugger. Python debugger for debugging Python code is just to discover the mistakes in the code so that you can correct it. For debugging or for finding the bug, when you are finding bug, you are looking for mistakes or errors in the syntaxes that you have written. Those lines you have, those code lines that you have written, you are looking for errors. So all these are able to help one. When those debuggers, they are inbuilt, they have been programmed, they have been inbuilt into the system of the programming language, so that whenever you type an error, it will give you signal. Are you understanding? Cross-platform. It is just any software that can operate on different platforms without changing its form is a cross-platform or cross-platform software or cross-platform tool. VS Code can run on Windows, Mac operating system, Linux, Google Chrome. The same way, Java applications can run anywhere. Unity games can run on PC, on consoles, on web. You understand? Google Chrome runs on Windows, Mac operating system, Android. So there are all these VS Code, Google Chrome, Java applications, Unity games. They are examples of cross-platform. They are software that can run on any platform without any changes. API application programming interfaces are a set of rules. Those are the rules. They are like a waiter. They are like intermediary. Like when you order a food, the person that is bringing the order and you, the one between you is the waiter. So APIs are like waiters. They help you to interact. You are a software. The person bringing the food is the software. Then the waiter is the API. So application programming interfaces, that's what API stands for. APIs, application programming interfaces. They help different software to communicate with each other. Simple. Google Maps have API. Google Map API allows apps. So Google Map API, you can help, that particular API will help another app to link up with Google Map so that it can bring out location. Twitter API lets Twitter interact with other apps. Weather API helps weather to display on some other websites. Stripe API helps in managing online payments for e-commerce websites. You understand? So databases are just places where data is stored, organized. They are storage systems. or storage software where you can store data. If you understand the concept of Excel, then you understand MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQLite, and MongoDB. But mind you, they are not exactly the same. They have their own unique modus operandi, mode of operation. They have their own unique formulae. They have similarities too. But the concept is just to store data, organize it, retrieve it. You can even analyze if you need to analyze. You understand? You can remove if you want to remove. You can add if you want to add. That is what they are for. Understand? So build more on understanding of languages. They are just platforms where you write your codes. Tools, they help programmer to write, to manage, to test. You can write, test, and manage a code. Compiler will compile all your so-called whatever you have written, the codes you have written all together, and convert it to bytecode that the computer can understand. Framework is structure, is like a ready-made platform, framework, or template where you can draw ideas from to build a website. Server is a supercomputer, a super platform that helps provide services to other platforms or other computers. Interpreter is a program that reads and executes code line by line. Debuggers are tools that help to find and fix errors. That's debuggers. Cross-platform, any software that can operate on different platforms without changes is a cross-platform. APIs, application programming interface, is just like it's an interface, an intermediary, a matchmaker, like a waiter between you and the cook. A database is just an atmosphere where you organize, store, you can analyze, you can retrieve data, you can remove, you can delete. Thank you very much. So you can dig deeper into these things, make your research to understand how these things really work in and out, so that you won't just understand it by word. I'm still going to be digging deep into all these things one by one. The environment, what they look like, what they are, but just to give you the basic understanding. Have a pleasant week ahead.